Hi everyone, this is Kimberly and Jess. We're interviewing Erin today.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, I think we can get started. So the first question is from Anna.
Okay.
If you could live in any country for the rest of your life, which one would it be and why?
Oh, I've always wanted to live in the US. I'm not too sure where. New York's always been really appealing to me. I love big cities, so I think that's a big attraction to me. I've lived in Manchester my whole life, and it is bigger than people think it is. And I just love that life, so I'd probably try and live in New York somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that Manchester is like quite big as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like second best to London, and people that aren't in the UK just sort of forget about it a little. But it's fucking amazing. I love it.
Manchester is very nice.
Yeah.
What's your favorite aspect of New York?
I'm not too sure. I've always wanted to do New York at New Year's.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I've heard a lot of hype about it, and I've seen a lot of things about it. So I've always wanted to do it. It sounds great, but it's the city life. It just really attracts me. I don't know what it is.
And they have such a open culture there as well.
Yeah, which is great for me, obviously.
So, Erin. Why did you join Eat Chat Lounge?
Eat Chat Lounge?
Or
just to spy on people. Because we've obviously been on things like Skype and Discord for a while, just from Eat Chat, obviously, just with like small group of friends. And then when we moved over to Discord, and we obviously had our own little server going on, and obviously the Eat Chat Lounge was already a big thing from Eat Chat, so I was just sort of there lurking around and looking at it, and then I just decided to get more active. So many nice people, and it was just a lot friendlier environment than you found on the rest of the internet, I guess. And it just made me want to stay. So, I tried to get active, and I tried to sort of meet as many people as I could. In the last week, I've talked to so many different people, and I've met so many different amazing people, and it's been really cool, to be honest.
Nice. So, if you don't mind, for those who aren't aware, Erin is transgender. So, Erin, in the future, what are you most excited about?
I'm excited to just finish it, to be honest. It's a long road, and I'm very excited to be over. There's a lot of people that sort of think the journey is a great thing. For me personally, it's more of I just want to be,
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that journey, but I'm happy to do it. Like it's who I am, I guess.
Yeah.
And how long is the process?
Well, because I'm doing it through the National Health Service, which is the English free medical health care. It's quite long. The waiting lists are really, really long. I started with the Gender Identity Clinic in March this year, just after my birthday, and they are estimating to start treatment by October 18. So it's already a year and a half before they can even start looking into it. Then I have to live as a female for a year after that, and take hormones for a year, and then they can look into the possibility of surgery and things like that. So the whole thing's probably about 2.5 years, maybe.
So you have to. Sorry, I'm really bad at understanding.
It's okay.
Like that. So you have to live as a female for a year without the hormones?
No, it can be either or. It doesn't really influence it. So.
Okay.
So in January this year, I'm actually taking a massive step, and it's going to be the first time I go out in public or into work as a female. It's
Oh,
something
wow.
that I've arranged with my bosses and things like that. So January the 12th will be the first day in work as a female. And
I'm so excited for you.
it's really terrifying, to be honest, but that's going to be the start of it. And by January 19, that'll be my year. And as long as people can sort of, they'll ask for references to say, has this been person living as a female for a year? How has it been? And things like that before they will say, right, okay, we'll accept you in and that you've done your year, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your bosses in your work, they're very supportive of you, obviously.
Yeah. At the moment, I have 2 bosses, and I'm in a small team of like 12 people, but it's in a huge office of about 200. So it's kind of hard to play it because obviously there's a lot of people I don't speak to. There's a lot of people I don't need to like interact with. So I've told my bosses, and I've told about half of the team so far. And the plan is on the 15th of December this year, when everyone from the team is in, I'm going to announce it to the rest of the team. And then the day after, my bosses are going to relay it to everyone else. So they're actually being very proactive with it. It was mainly their suggestion, actually, that we do this. So it's actually a really helpful environment.
Supportive.
As much as I slag it off and as much as I hate it, they are really supportive of me.
That's
what are
good.
you most nervous about regarding telling everyone else on your team?
The older generations, there's a few people that are sort of like, I already know what the reactions are going to be. There's one woman on my team that literally shouted at me yesterday because my hair was too long, and she thinks I look better with short hair. So she's just old fashioned, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to cut my hair," but she doesn't know yet. And like, yeah, because at the moment I'm male in work and I have long hair, and it's sort of becoming a bit more obvious.
Yeah.
Like I accidentally went in with makeup yesterday, and like I cleaned most of it off when I got there and I realized, but you could still sort of tell. And someone was like, "Your eyes look darker," and I was like, "Oh fucking," you know. But it's mainly the older generations that scare me because I know that I'm going to get judgment, and it's not something that I've really had before. It's kind of
Just something you've experienced online as a trans.
from weird teens that don't matter, but these people I have to work with every day, and
yeah,
that's terrifying. Yeah.
well, I mean, at least you have your boss and like the company behind you and people.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the craziest experience, like even online, that you've had to deal with regarding people?
In regards to being trans, or just generally?
Both works. I mean, whatever.
I'm online. Obviously, I get quite a lot of stick, and
Yeah.
it's very, very difficult to sort of just get through that because it's constant and it's everywhere I go. And whilst it doesn't really get to me that much, it's more of it shouldn't really be happening at this. It's, you know what I mean? It's 2017.
Yeah.
Like,
that's why I'm so like protective of you. I'm like, no, don't touch me.
I know. And you always have been, and that's why I always say that I don't do voice calls unless Jess is there. And it's just, you know, I mean, it's great to have them friends, but it's crazy how many people there are that aren't that way, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you're like 5 years older than me, but I'm still like, you're my child.
I love that though, you know.
So, what are you like most afraid of regarding like your transition in general though? Like not regarding like people in general, but for your own personal experience.
Oh, it's not knowing things. I I just every time I sort of get somewhere, like a step forward, it feels like there's a million other things that I don't know. So obviously over the last few weeks, I've only just been learning how to use makeup and things like that. And whilst I'm doing that, it's like, oh, okay, I've learned this thing, and 7 other things have just come at me, and it's so hard to pick up what a lot of people have had 20 years of experience of already, you know? So for me, that's definitely the hardest thing, is trying to pick up the lost time.
Yeah, it's just like overwhelming.
hmm I've got 20 years to learn in a year.
20 years in a year.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
But with the like Brexit and like the separation,
Yeah.
I heard like the news that I got in Canada was that there was quite a lot of discrimination that popped up after that happened. Like,
Yes.
did you notice a difference, or is it kind of like all?
It's very upplayed by the media. I think that if you actually live here, it's just like the news just scream Brexit all the time. But really, I don't know. My life hasn't changed. Like nothing's changed for me in terms of
Okay.
discrimination and things like that. It's more towards foreigners than anything else, which is really sad, because England's always been quite a accepting country. And it's been quite renowned for how accepting it is.
Right.
And then for these people to surface, it's just kind of disappointing, to be honest, sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I was just thinking in terms of like the discrimination towards trans might be a little bit more.
Yeah, it's not really towards us that much.
Okay.
It's more towards the rest of Europe and things like that. But it's very overplayed, I feel. A lot of people tend to have massive opinions on it. I personally don't, but
Right.
it's just politics, and you sort of just have to deal with it if you live here. You can't. There's nothing we can do. It's just you've just got to deal with it. Haven't you?
Yeah, I think it's like that anywhere. Like
Yeah, of course,
America,
which is
you
really
expect
sad,
Trump
but
and
it's
all
just
this
the way of
stuff
life.
to increase.
That's true.
There's not really much change here, you know.
I agree. Yeah.
I heard there was like a thing, and maybe it's just like a meme or a joke, but it's like a candy. It's a chocolate bar. It's called like Toblerone. What? Like, and I guess the Brexit like ruined it. I don't know.
It was more of Toblerone is just a type of chocolate. It's a brand, and it's like a row of pyramid chocolate. So it's like you break off a little pyramid of chocolate, and it was just sort of at the same time as Brexit, the company Toblerone or whoever makes it decided to make the gaps in between the pyramids bigger, so there was less chocolate per pyramid, and it was sort of everyone just blamed it on Brexit because it became a meme on the back of that. So it was just sort of like Brexit's caused Toblerone, like people just took it to a new level. Yeah,
that's hilarious. It's sad, but it's hilarious.
I mean, shit, I'll still like take it. Like chocolate.
Oh, Toblerone's fucking great. Yeah.
Oh no. Is that your favorite candy?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, I like it. I like it, but it's, Also, we don't call it candy. That's just.
What do you call it?
I don't know. It's just chocolate, I guess.
Cool.
Like we call it specifically what it is. Like you say, I'm gonna go buy candy. I'm gonna go buy chocolate, or.
Well, what do you call other things that isn't chocolate?
Whatever they are, like.
You just don't call them anything.
We just don't generalize like that. I guess.
Yeah, like in Canada, like we don't say candy bar, we say chocolate bar, and then is considered like Skittles, gummies, stuff like that.
We call them sweets, though.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'd call them sweets. And then chocolate. I don't think anyone really uses the word candy over here.
It's so weird, like the dialect differences between like country. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I always do this in calls whenever I meet like people from like a new like unique place. I'm like, how do you say like caramel? Like caramel or caramel? Who knows? Okay,
Me and you have had this conversation so many times.
It's like my favorite conversation. I love it. I get really heated though.
Yeah, same. Like I get really annoyed about football and soccer. That's it's
yeah.
just it really, really gets to me that you got the sport where you kick a ball with your foot and you called it something else.
Yeah, I don't know.
Football and gave it to a game where you carry an egg around. It just doesn't make sense to me.
This is America, okay? The land of the free.
Well, that's like
on our level.
in pretty much every other country. Pineapple, like French, it's like ananas, and then every other country, it's like very close to that. And then America and Canada, it's pineapple.
Well, there's
like
pineapple
where do
here
they
as
even
well.
get that?
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I've seen that before. They have every country calls it like NS or something like that, and we're just like, yeah, pineapple.
Pineapple. Yeah, pineapple. So, Erin, I want to know, how do you say? We're going on this, you know, like this is my favorite thing. Like I get so into it. I remember I was talking to a New Zealander and they were just like tomato. Remember Vinny?
Yeah, sadly.
He didn't say tomato. He said something weird, and it was like
tomato. Some people say tomato. Oh, it's like potato, and stuff like that.
It was really strange, though.
I don't know. I call it tomato.
Do you say envelope or envelope?
Envelope.
Wow.
Is it really that interesting that it deserved a wow? Oh, right, okay.
This is how I make my friends, okay? The way I say it, you know, we're friends. Like, that's how I work.
Jess, you should go into linguistics.
I'd be so bad at that. Just because I get into like a really heated argument on how you say aunt. Say aunt or aunt.
Well, that's like in Canada, a lot of people will say Chesterfield instead of a couch. And I have no idea where.
See, I call it a sofa. So, I mean.
Oh, a sofa.
Oh, see. So we have sofas, but that's like the 2-seater, the love seat.
Yeah.
And then there's couches and Chesterfields, which are like 3 cushions.
Oh, more like I don't know. Some people do call it couches here, but I don't know. I just call it a sofa.
So do we want to start taking questions from the chat?
Yeah, sure.
Selena had one. When are you gonna date Selena?
She will hate that. Look at her. So when is she gonna divorce Anastasia? What's that about?
Ooh.
Oh. Going deep.
Oh.
Anna's like. I will maybe.
Elle just asked the same question again.
Oh, have you considered saving for the surgeries privately, or are the prices too outrageous?
Yeah, I researched it and I contacted a few people and they were all saying the same sort of thing anyway. It was like you have to be a female for 2 years, a lot of private people say. It's because I think they have to be certain. And if they let you do it too early and then like you sue them, I guess, or something, I don't know. But
they want to protect themselves.
It actually turned out to be a longer process looking at it. It was like you need to be a female for 2 years and then you have to be on estrogen as well for a certain amount of time after that. And then you have to pay us £2,000. And it was like, yeah, it was completely unrealistic. For once, the NHS was actually faster, but it just shows how bad the UK transgender care is, really, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah. We can take more questions.
Yeah, sure.
Mm.
I'm seeing lots of questions, and I mean, you can ask anything, like even if they're just like, "Wow, rude," you know what I mean?
Oh, you know what? We have to do Lil Blue's question. So, because it's in every podcast.
Okay.
Would you rather eat a chunk of a human heart or a human eyeball?
In the effort to be as close to Game of Thrones as possible, I'd do the heart.
Right.
Yeah, I'd eat the heart.
Why do you pick that one?
Like I said, I don't know. I don't. I hate eyes. They creep me out loads. Like when people touch their eyes, I want to throw up slightly. So eating an eye is just out of the question. Like I couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's fair. A lot of people have said that like the human heart, like the chunk of it, it looks like actual meat rather than you know, I mean, like you can dress it up and kind of.
We eat much grosser things like liver and blood, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that's probably more realistic, as much as cannibalistic as that sounds.
Yeah.
So Johnston asked, based on your experience with being trans, how did you come out and embrace it? Were you scared of your family's reaction? Were they supportive?
So I have a very small family. It's just me, my mum, and my grandma. And I came out to them in March, about the same time when I went to the gender identity. And it wasn't really. It was what I expected, though. I mean, I had to sort of think in my head that this is a woman that's had a son for 22 years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's as much as her problem as mine. And
well, I wouldn't say it's a problem.
I don't know. I call it a problem. So I mean, I get that people don't want to think about it that way, but no, to her it's an issue, and she's so supportive now. But maybe at the time it was a little more difficult.
It was just difficult to adjust.
Yeah. And I mean, I expected it, but it sort of came across really bad. She said some things that really hurt me. She once described it as a death in the family, and yeah, so that sort of hit me. But she's become so much more supportive, and
I think it was really because she really didn't know.
Yeah,
someone who's like ignorant.
Yeah, it was complete shock. Because really before March, I was fairly masculine in comparison.
Yeah.
And like I was on the football team, and I played sports and I went running, and so it was kind of a shock to everyone. Like,
a good shock.
I guess.
I mean, you're yourself, like,
I get to be myself online, much more than I do in real life. I'm sort of scared to sort of progress in the real world because my mum means everything to me. And when I told her, it was such a reaction that it made me sort of, it was difficult. It's now difficult to sort of do anything because I'm really scared that the reaction is going to be bad, I guess. Yeah. But I haven't told my grandma yet either, and that's going to be a big shocker. It's I've always been the boy that she never had. She always wanted a boy. She had my mum, and my mum's an only child. And then she's treated me like her own kin, and I feel like I'm going to break her heart when I tell her. But yeah, it has to be done.
So, I mean, she'll either accept you for who you are, she just isn't worth having around, like, it's just, But, so Slim Lewis asked, how was your childhood as a kid-teen who felt like he is not in the...
It was a really weird stage for me. So a lot of when people realize that they're gay or trans or anything like that, it's generally around puberty. For me, it was very difficult. I could sort of tell there was something wrong. At first, I thought I was gay, maybe, and then I convinced this other guy that was obviously closet to like try it with me, and it's before it even happened, I was just like, no, this isn't what I like. This isn't it. I don't know what's wrong. And then from about 13 to 16, I was just depressed. I didn't know what was wrong, and every time I got a girlfriend, it was sort of just like it didn't feel right, you know.
Yeah.
And it really clicked with me when I'd had sex. It was like that was what was wrong, I guess. And I tried to get away from the connection between gender and sexual orientation, because they're nothing the same. But that's what made me realize. It sort of made me go, wow, that's what it is. I'm just not happy with myself rather than who I'm with. You know?
Yeah.
It was a really depressing and difficult time period for me because I didn't know what was wrong, basically.
Yeah, it's a hard transition, but you've come really far, like,
thank you.
Honestly, like, look at your photo, like,
it doesn't fit match the voice, does it, really?
I mean, you know, you're still transitioning. You're not like perfect, like, it takes time. Everyone knows that. So
yeah.
Let's see what.
Do your friends know?
Yeah.
How did they?
It's very hard to tell with friends a lot of the time. The same way that it's just hard to tell anyone, because if they're not expecting it, they'll come across really supportive no matter what, because they're your friend. So it's sort of hard to gauge whether it's fake or not. I guess sometimes it's like, oh, you're our friend, we support you no matter what, when really it's like, I don't necessarily agree with this. My best friend, well, one of my best friends in real life he said to me 2 weeks before, 2 weeks before I planned to tell him, in a passing conversation, that he doesn't believe that people with a penis can just be female. So yeah, so obviously at that point I realized that my best friend wasn't going to accept. That was something that took me a very, very long time to get over. And he's ended up being so supportive, and I feel like the fact that he now knows someone that's transgender has sort of changed his view a little bit, I hope. But there's sort of that tingling thing that I don't know who's fake at this point. I've come out to every one of my friends, and on the 15th, when I announce it to my team, I'll probably announce it to everyone through Facebook and social media. So
yeah, and that'll be such a huge step as well.
Yeah, it'll be crazy. Like, things are going to escalate so quickly over the next month or so, and I just need people to be there. You know, I need people to sort of just talk to me like it's normal, you know, like nothing's happening. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm in this place, because there's so many great people here, like Jess and you, Kim, and everybody else that's here in this chat right now. And I'm just reading the messages, and, you know, everyone's so nice. And I can't wait to sort of go through that this next month, knowing that there's so many people here.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things I really like about Discord is, like, it's easier to be yourself behind a screen, but it's also good practice to, like, to be yourself and figure out who you are, and eventually you're able to go out into the world and be yourself. But it's also, I don't know, it's nice to be in your own skin and not worry about what people think.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's great that just people people just talk to me like it's, it's not there. And
yeah,
that's what really matters to me. It's the normalization of it all, in that every day I'm reminded that I am transgender, and that kicks me. But when I'm on here, I still get it, but the people that I want to talk to and the people that I talk to every day are there for me, and it really gets me through the day.
Yeah. And like you said, it's 2017 now. Like, you're going through such a crazy experience, and it's probably really confusing for other people as well.
Yeah,
so
of course.
if you're able
I'm not the
to
only
help.
one. The waiting list at the moment in the UK is over 700 people. And you've got to think that that's 700 people right now. That's not last year or next year or the year after that or the year after that. And if it's 700 every single time, then there's thousands and thousands of people out there that need help, that don't get it. And if I can be even the tiniest bit of help, then that's what I want to do.
Yeah. And
what I want to do when I finish my transition is open a charity for young trans boys and girls, to sort of help get them through the transitioning process and give them the support that I wish I have right now. Because I feel like if I can give the littlest thing back to that community that they've given to us, then it'd mean the world to me, and I'm sure it'd mean the world to them, that they know that they've got someone there to help them no matter what they go through.
Yeah.
Johnson wants to know if you considered going abroad for your surgery, or is that too much more hassle, time and money than you would?
It'd probably be better for me and easier for me and cheaper for me. Even though it's sort of probably looked down upon, places like the Philippines have really quick and cheap access to it. And I know it's like dodgy surgery, people think go wrong, but in desperate times I've researched stuff like that. My problem is more of my situation in the UK right now is that I can't abandon it for a minute. I can't leave. I don't have that opportunity. I'm sort of stuck here. So I just have to bear with what I've got, I guess.
Yeah. Like, I heard that Colombia, like, they're really well known for plastic surgery and
really?
stuff like that. And but it's, again, like the Philippines, I'm sure you found, like you said, it's kind of sketchy, and you probably have to pay cash, and it's like, it's kind of a risk to.
But at the same time, when I was first starting to want it so badly, it was like, it's right there, I could just fly there and do it. And that it's like a hype thing, I guess. I'm happy I've sort of talked myself out of that, which is good, I guess.
Yeah, and I think in the long run, you'll be glad that you waited.
Because it's much safer, and the fact that if I do it this way, they'll provide hormones for me and things like that on the NHS, is worth thousands more than a year and a half waiting, I guess.
I think Elle found her question. Do you think that it's wrong that it's called LGBTQ because it's furthering the mashing of sexual orientation with gender identity? Like, should they be two separate things?
I get the point, but I think it's more of we're all in this together, for a long time, the LGB part of that has been discriminated against very broadly, and these people have had the same thing I have had at the end of the day. They've had to sit there with the parents and say, look, this is a thing. They have the same reactions we do. People discriminate against them, and people don't accept it and understand it. And I think it's more of we're all in this together. We've all been through the same thing. We all need to be there for each other. And the fact that the LGBTQ community is so strong right now is just evident that there are so many people in that group, and we're not a minority. And the more it gets spread and the more people that are in it, the easier it'll be for people to accept that it's a thing in the future.
Yeah, it's nice that like the community supports each other and just like sticks together.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So I went to Pride this year, and I mean, it wasn't a good experience for me because I went as a male and I was too scared to go as a female, and I regret that. But when you go there and there's literally thousands of people. I've been to festivals that aren't as packed as that, and it's crazy how that world is just normal. It's you walk in there and everything that's happening is just is what it is. And I think the idea is to make it so that Pride, that weekend, is just life, you know?
Yeah.
That community is it's incredible, and it's what life should be. It's just,
oh my god, it's amazing.
It's just freedom, and you know.
Here after the Pulse shooting in Orlando, oh my god, Pride is such a huge thing here. Like it's insane. Really? After Pulse happened, the Pulse shooting, the community just grew so much more like stronger. And I mean, that's the bright side of it. Like everyone is so much more aware and supportive than they were before. So, you know.
Yeah, I think it's growing so rapidly right now, like you said before, that hopefully Pride won't be necessary anymore, and it'll just be life to be that way.
Yeah. I mean, I see a bright side to it too. I know a lot of my friends
are
gay, and you know, they're looking for someone. So I think it's easy in those like settings to find.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And there's loads of things like that. It's great, but to answer the actual question, no. I think we're better together and we're stronger together than trying to split us apart.
Nice.
Johnston is asking, have you ever thought about giving up or letting it all go because of the struggle? And what advice would you give to people who are feeling like giving up?
Oh, every day. Literally every single day of my life. I think, is it worth it? You know, is the pain, the unknown, and the suffering that I'm gonna have to go through for the next 18 months worth it? Would it be easy to just say I was wrong and just live as a male? And the answer is no, because at the end of the day, this is 18 months of my life, and
the rest of your entire life.
Yeah, like, am I going to choose between an immediate happiness or the rest of my entire life? And it's a pretty obvious answer when you actually think about it, is that, yeah, I want to be happy for the next 60 years, not for the next 18 months. And that's the only real advice I can give to people. And I think if you're in the frame of mind where you actually are going to give up, maybe you don't want it enough, I guess. It might not be right for you. But I'd encourage people to just think about it for a long time and just make sure that it's the right decision, and think, am I happy now, or would I be happier when it's done? Yeah. And that's what you've got to ask yourself before you can really say, am I going to give up or not?
Yeah.
That's probably, like you said earlier, one of the reasons the free organization like makes you wait a year.
Yeah, the NHS,
yeah.
So
it makes sense. Like,
it's smart. It's time to build. It's time to see whether you're right. If they just let you do it immediately, it can mess you up. The thing with hormones is that it's sort of addicting, I guess. So once I start taking estrogen, I will feel more feminine in my day-to-day life, and then that might confuse you into thinking you're trans. Well, maybe you weren't. That's why they do a lot of checks to your mental health and things like that. And if you suffer from, say, stage 1 bipolar, it's very difficult to get diagnosed with gender dysphoria at the same time, because it's sort of, is it just a side effect of that? So it makes sense, really, to wait and to see what it is. It's time to explore and have fun with your life, I guess.
Yeah. So Unix had another question.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people are going through an experiment, like they're making videos and documentaries and things like that, for their own personal benefit or to spread a message. But have you ever considered doing anything similar?
My friends tried to talk me into it. I mean, the fact that I was literally shaking for 5 minutes before I did this podcast sort of says that no, I'm not really in a frame of mind to be doing public documentation of my life.
Maybe just like personal.
Yeah. I made Instagram very recently, and I think the idea behind that for me was that I can show my transition and look back and see how far I've come. And I know in the past, I've got a picture on my phone from March, and it's absolutely abysmal. And it's I can look at that now and think, even my day-to-day living is just more feminine than that, and I can see my progress. So the reason I made my Instagram was that in a year when maybe I'm struggling and thinking, where is my life going? And I'm not actually doing anything, I can look back and say, wow, it's actually come so incredibly far. And I think the fact that it can be done on social media and things like that is so great for other trans people to see it. So if a young trans girl was to follow me or something like that, and they'd be able to see that on my own, this is what I've done. And, social media can be so inspiring and things like that. So that's the only reason why I've made that, in terms of actually becoming like heavily social. I don't think I have the strength to do that, to be honest. I'm far too shy, to be honest.
So I think we can wrap it up. Thank you, Erin, for being on with us today.
Yeah, that's no problem.
And thanks, Jess, as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next podcast, I believe, is Lil Boo. We don't have a time set up just yet, but just keep watching. So I think that's it for us. And yeah,
peace.
Bye.